KFAB.
Schrock Innovations presents the Midwest #1 independent computer repair company with service centers in Lincoln, Omaha, Papillion, Des Moines, and across the country via the Schrock desk. This is Compute This.
Good morning, folks, and welcome into Compute This. My name is Thor Schrock. I'm the owner of the Schrock Innovations Computer Company. We're going to be with you for the next hour here to help you out with your computer problems, deal with any issues you might have, and of course, we want you to call the program. Number to join us on the show today is 888-250-2091. That's 888-250-2091. And as we do every week, we're going to throw open the floodgates for a $25 Schrock Innovations gift certificate, good for anything your heart desires over at the Service Center. Due to the rate of inflation in the U.S. economy, we may have to increase that to a $30 gift certificate. We're going to see. Maybe we'll do a split test next week. We'll do 25 this week and 30 next week and see if we get more callers. Because apparently that's how the world works now. You just offer more money or charge more money, and if people pay it, then you say, yay, and then you just do it again until people stop paying it. And apparently that is the definition of when inflation has gone too far. So yeah, and trust me, guys, this is all tied into the show today. We got a real great show for you. Of course, Schrock Innovations is your source, your go-to source for all things technology. If your computer is acting up, not doing something you want it to do, maybe it's not installing that new 2.1H1 update that you need to get, we're the place to help you with that. If your hard drive fails, we have the Midwest's only fully equipped data recovery lab. Clean room, PC 3000s, the DDI imagers, everything that all the modern labs have at about half of the price that the modern labs charge on the coasts. The lovely Kimberly and I took the opportunity last week to take a vacation for the first time. You know, we haven't taken a vacation in at least a year. I mean, we work so hard. I mean, all these other people are jetting around all through 2020, right? But no, we stayed home like the whole year, and we were ready to get out with those kids, get out. So we went to South Carolina. I can personally confirm the gas situation with you that from the pipeline shut off, and I'm going to tell you in the aftershock today what stations are mostly impacted by that. So if you are listening from the East Coast region, South Carolina, Tennessee, Georgia, places like that, we'll let you know what gas stations to avoid so that you can make sure you can get fuel in your car, because I did it. Yep. Nope. Those pumps are all bagged. Got to go to a different station. Oh, nope. Those pumps, almost just the diesel ones are available here. Can't do that one. Move on to the next station. So fun times there. Now, Schrock Innovations doesn't just do computer repair and data recovery. There are so many more things to the technology world. You know, if you stop at computers, then you're ignoring all the smartphone stuff. Now, do we fix smartphones? We've made the tactical decision not to fix smartphones, and there's a couple reasons for that. Number one, the market. If you take a look at all the fix-it places, they're all starting to fix computers. And what that tells me is that you can't really make a living fixing phones. You have to have other branches for that. The other thing is when you're fixing phones, the work is so fine and the parts are so small, and it's getting harder every single time Apple or Samsung makes a new phone with specialized tools that are required and everything else that, honestly, if you make one mistake, your job from a business perspective is a financial loss. You still have to make the phone work for the customer, but you got to put in more parts than you have to charge for, and you end up losing money on the deal. And so it's one of those things where we've decided that we're not going to do that, but that doesn't mean we don't help you with your phones. Last week, we brought you the story about 4 different updates that were impacting the Android ecosystem, or 4 different vulnerabilities, I should say, that were impacting the Android ecosystem, and those vulnerabilities were patched, and now you should have those patches installed on your higher end phones. Lower end phones have not received patches yet. That's something to consider when you're purchasing your phone, by the way. And this is the kind of stuff that, cell phone repair stores don't think about telling people. Security is important. Don't just go buy the Samsung A series phone because it's $29.99 with a 2-year contract. It's going to be the last in line to get updates because it's a budget phone. That's just the way that life is. Cell phones have a life expectancy of about 2 years. And then after that, they start to age out. So if you buy a budget phone, 2 years later, you can expect that budget phone to no longer be supported. We also do antivirus and security. This is probably one of the fastest growing areas of our business. We have several products that keep you up to speed and running, with what needs to happen with your phones and your computers. Everything from Sophos antivirus, the best antivirus on the planet, hands down, bar none, the best you can get. Also, our Secure Updater product keeps your PCs up to date. Just last week, for example, on the program last week, we talked about the fact that Apple has now admitted under oath that malware is a bigger problem for the Apple ecosystem than it is for the PC ecosystem. Now, of course, there's an asterisk, qualifier, but when you have an executive from Apple under oath saying that malware is a problem for the ecosystem, I think we can safely tell every Apple user now, without any fear of negative comment reprisal, that your Mac is vulnerable to viruses. You should be running antivirus software. Now we just have to convince everybody that you need it on your phones too, and I can bring you story after story every week about how your phones are getting infected with stuff. But yet people don't want to run antivirus on their phone. No, I don't need it. I don't think it's that important. I don't download any funky apps, just this weather app. The very first malware ever recorded on a cell phone was WeatherFist. That's right. It was a test from a university. They purposefully created an app called WeatherFist and then included a harmless little malware program, just harmless malware. All it did was basically exist. It didn't do any kind of harmful stuff. But they wanted to see how fast it would spread, and it spread like wildfire because people love their weather. Let me tell you what. All right, 888-250-2091. That's the number to join us on the program. If you did miss last week's show, you can check it out on our website, SchrockInnovations.com. Also, it's going to be up on Facebook here as well. You can scroll down if you're listening and watching on Facebook right now. It is Facebook.com/SchrockInnovations. Want to welcome our Facebook fans. Mary, top fan Mary, good to have you. Roger, Janice, Mitch, everybody, the whole crew is showing up. So we love having you guys here on this holiday weekend as well. Now, last week, the other stories we covered, obviously I mentioned that 21H1, that's 2021 half one. The update was released. It is available. You should have already run your Schrock Safe Upgrade software. If you have not done that, you should do that now. If your computer is not if you didn't get Schrock Safe Upgrade and you're wondering why you're not getting the 21H1 update, it's because Microsoft has deemed your computer cannot safely install the update at this time. There's something that will go wrong in the automated process, so they're not going to show you the update. Now, 6 months from now, if you're wondering why you haven't received the 21H1 update, it's because Microsoft has determined that your computer is too old to receive the update, and it's just not going to get it automatically. And that's when you end up in the service center wondering why you can't get any more security patches a couple years from now, and you're like, what went wrong? And it's like, well, you never got the updates, and your computer could have run it. Microsoft just wasn't sure, so they didn't push it to you. And then people get mad. But you see, if Microsoft pushes it to everybody and blows up a bunch of computers, then everybody gets mad. So 6 of one, half a dozen of the other. That's why if you bring your computer to Schrock, we're going to take your security seriously and make sure you're running the latest patches and malware protection software to keep your computer safe. Now, also, last week on the program, we talked about the Microsoft Corporation finally killing Internet Explorer. Finally. We've been talking about this for years, guys. They've given it a death date, a tombstone date. Rest in peace, 2022 June. So June of next year, Internet Explorer will no longer be included on your PC. You're going to get one of these Windows 10 updates, and it's going to remove Internet Explorer from your computer. That integral part of the Windows operating system that Bill Gates himself argued Windows could not exist without in the 90s is now being retired as if it was yesterday's garbage, because it pretty much is. You shouldn't be using it. Coming up on the program today, as I mentioned, 21H1 is out. You should have run your Safe Upgrade software already. Your computer should be running 21H1 now. There are no ill effects. There are no problems that have been reported on a mass scale. The way you can check is down in the lower left-hand corner of your screen. If you right-click, now when you left-click something, you're choosing it. When you right-click something, you're asking for more options. So you right-click on that Start menu button down in the lower left corner there. and a menu will pop up, and then you left-click on System. This is just a shortcut to your system control panel, and this is going to open up the system screen and tell you all about your computer. And about halfway down that screen, it's going to say the version of Windows 10, and it'll say 21H1 if your computer is running 21H1. If it says anything else, 20H2, 1909, 1809, any other numbers there, that's bad and you've got a problem and you need to get it in to get it upgraded, and we can take care of that for you. Consequently, I'm not the only person that likes to take vacations this time of year, apparently. And our service centers tend to see a slowdown during this time of the year. When I say a slowdown, I mean we take in about 50 to 75% as many computers per day as we normally do. But you see, we still have the same number of guys. And so what ends up happening is stuff gets done really fast. And then they stand around and look at each other until we send one of them home. So if you want to get in and burn one of those maintenance certificates that you purchased during the maintenance sale, or get your computer upgraded to 21H1, our turnaround times are phenomenal right now. The Des Moines Service Center is averaging 24 hours right now, same day, next day. The Papillion Service Center is averaging 24 hours, same day, next day. Omaha is a little bit longer with 24 to 48, and Lincoln is also same day, next day. So no matter which Schrock Innovations location you go to, we're going to get you in and out very quickly, and it's a great time to bring that computer in. A quick program note for those listening to this program on Memorial, or the day before Memorial Day. We will be closed on Monday, Memorial Day. That's Monday the 31st. We will be closed. So if you try to come into the service center, you will be greeted by a locked door. It's nothing personal, but the guys want a day off too. And as I mentioned, it's a little slower this time of year, so we don't mind giving it to them. But we will return for normal business on Tuesday. 888-250-2091. Coming up on the program, Twitter doesn't like its own medicine, apparently. India has decided that it can tell Twitter, if Twitter's going to censor stuff, that India can tell Twitter what it's going to censor and what it's not going to censor. Well, Twitter didn't like that. So India activates the arm of the government to come knock on the executive's door and find out what the problem is. Maybe he would like to be escorted away in cuffs if he can't comply. The chief compliance officer of Twitter is like fleeing India. So we're going to talk about that on the program. And it's sad, guys, because any other show, any other year, I would have been like, you know what? This is wrong. People have the right to express their opinions, and the government of India shouldn't be censoring people. And that's Twitter's official position. But it's really hard to argue for Twitter when this is they literally. I will get into it, guys. We'll get into it. I don't want to burn it all here. Also, it's official for the first time ever in 23 years I've been doing this show. The cost of PCs normally PCs get cheaper per megahertz, basically. You get more power for less money every year. That's why everyone throws away their computers when they break, because they're like, hey, I'll just buy a new one. It'll be a better, faster computer. It's going to be cheaper than fixing it. Officially from HP, Dell, and Lenovo, for the first time ever, your PC costs are going to go up in the second half of 2021. They're going to go up per megahertz. And it's not just the chip shortage. We're going to tell you what's going on behind the inflation of PC prices and how that's going to influence repair decisions coming up on the program. And then also, this is going to sound really, really boring, but actually this is information you really need to have. USB-C, those little oval ports that are popping up on phones and laptops and everything? Did you know that you can charge your device through those ports? A lot of you have a plug that you put in the bottom of your phone, right? And it charges your phone. Your computers can be charged through those ports as well. Some of you during the pandemic learned that USB-C ports can be used to hook up external monitors also. USB-C is like a universal port. It can do everything, except not all USB-C ports are the same, and not all USB-C cables are the same. So in other words, if you're trying to get your computer to do something through the USB-C port and it's not working, you could be using the wrong cable, or you could have the wrong type of USB-C port. So this is really great confusing stuff. But when you think about it, it's like USB 1, USB 2, and USB 3. They all do different things. They're all backward compatible. It's the same thing, but what is the new thing that your USB-C port is going to be able to do on these computers coming up in the second quarter? Maybe that's why they cost more. I don't know. 888-250-2091. Now, the last thing we're going to do, some people from Memorial Day have a mattress sale. Some people, they have a car sale, right? Well, while I was on vacation, Parker, the operations manager of Schrock Innovations, we were down to one surge protector in the entire company. We had one on the shelf in Des Moines. And the only reason it was in Des Moines is because Shelly guarded it with her life. She was not going to let it go. It was permanently going to be Des Moines until it was sold to a customer, and it's going to be a Des Moines customer because she just loves her people like that. Now, the reason we hadn't resupplied, guys, is because the surge protectors that we sell have audible alerts. They chirp at you when they're no longer able to protect your computer. A lot of people don't know that surge protectors die after about a couple years. Well, they don't die. They just become glorified extension cords. They don't protect anything anymore. I'm looking at two beautiful metal surge protectors powering the board that I'm talking on right now. And both of their lights are flickering, an indication that they are no longer protecting anything against surges. They are simply glorified extension cords. But they have been screwed to that plywood for so long, probably since the 80s, because they're made of metal. They don't make things out of metal. It's like bricks. They don't build with brick anymore. That they haven't been replaced. Because nobody really knows the bed. Now, if that thing was chirping up there, you know the guys in the studio would be like, replace that thing. And that's why our surge protectors chirp. We love it, right? We couldn't get them throughout the entire pandemic. We could not get them. They have just now come back into stock, and Parker scored a shipment of 100 surge protectors, divided equally among the 4 service centers at 25 units per service center. Now, we are closed on Monday, so I know you want to rush out and buy yourself a surge protector on Memorial Day. That's what everybody does on Memorial Day. Barbecues, beer, and surge protectors. It's just how life is. But we're going to put them on special for 25% off for the next week. They're on the website at SchrockInnovations.com. You can go to SchrockInnovations.com, click on Shop and then Specials, and you can pick up. I usually recommend you pick up 2. Number one, they're never on sale. This is the only. We haven't done this sale in 2 years, guys, because we couldn't get them. So we stopped putting them on sale. Now that we can get them, we're going to put them on sale. But basically, you get 2 because just like your smoke alarm, in the middle of the night, this thing is going to start chirping. And you're going to need to replace it with something, and you're not going to have anything, and you're going to have this chirping thing. You're going to put a pillow on it. And that's a fire hazard. You don't want to do that. So we don't want you to burn your house down. So buy 2, so you've got one in the closet, so when one goes bad, you can hook the other one up. And it'll help you out quite a bit. And so those are on special, 25% off at SchrockInnovations.com. Click on Shop and click on Specials. You can get, there is no quantity limit, so I guess if you wanted to buy 50, you could. I didn't think there was a need to put a quantity limit on it because who buys 50 surge protectors? But, pull up the little sign, prove me wrong. All right, 888-250-2091. When we come back, Twitter doesn't like its own medicine. We're going to tell you what India is doing to censor the big tech giant, coming up next on Compute This.
Now you can configure and purchase laptops, desktops, tablets, and more, all at the new SchrockInnovations.com. Check out our specials for one-of-a-kind discounts and deals.
Welcome to Schrock Innovations. How can I help you today?
I'm having a problem with my computer.
You're at the right place. We fix problems with computers.
That's why I'm here.
What seems to be the problem with your computer?
When I press the power button, it doesn't boot up. How fast can you fix it?
We're the fastest computer fixer in Omaha. We'll fix it fast.
How fast?
Real fast. Do you have it plugged in when you turn it on?
Of course it was plugged in. Do people make that mistake a lot?
You'd be surprised. When you press the power button, what happens?
It roars, then stops and sits.
Ooh, like a lion?
Like a what? Well, I suppose.
Sounds like a bad power supply, sir.
Is that bad?
It's not good, but we can fix it fast.
How fast?
How's that for fast?
Does it work?
Yes, sir. More purring, less roaring now.
Wow, that was fast.
Schrock Innovations is the fastest computer repair in Omaha, sir.
That's great, but all this talking is making me hungry. You guys sell sandwiches?
We do fast computer repair. If you want a fast sandwich, you have to go someplace else. Why would we sell sandwiches?
I don't know. All this fast talking is strangely familiar.
Schrock Innovations. If you want a fast sandwich, don't go there. But if you want your computer fixed and back on your desk fast, give them a call or visit their website at SchrockInnovations.com. Compute This Pro Tip 178. Those little life-saving surge protector strips are vital to your computer's health and should be used whenever possible, even for laptops. As computers get smaller and more powerful, they're also becoming more sensitive to dirty power, and your power is a lot dirtier than you might think. Even if you have a whole home surge protection, most power surges are generated within your own home. If you've ever vacuumed and seen the lights get dimmer and brighter, you created a surge. Surge protectors can only absorb so much energy measured in joules. When that capacity is exhausted, your surge protector becomes a glorified extension cord and needs to be replaced. You should always look for surge protectors that give audible alerts when they're no longer able to protect your equipment. Schrock recommends these because the lights on most strips are just power lights and they don't tell you when it's time to replace the unit. If in doubt, replace your surge protectors annually to keep your expensive TVs, computers, and other electronic equipment safe. This pro tip is brought to you by Schrock Innovations Computer Company.
Alrighty, folks, welcome back into Compute This. My name's Thor Schrock. I'm the owner of the Schrock Innovations Computer Company. Number to join us on the program today, 888-250-2091. You should know that number by now, but if you don't, there you go, and you can give us a call here on the program. All right, so we got a couple calls on the line. Robert, Karen, hang on the line there. I want to make sure I get this story in because I think this is going to resonate with a lot of the audience. So apparently, India has decided it's not in a nation's best interest to allow a big tech company to control the speech. Now, India doesn't have a what do you call it? Like a First Amendment rule. Like there's no freedom of speech in India. India regulates television. They regulate print media. They also regulate the movie industry. They actually tell their Bollywood producers what they can and can't make. They don't rule with an iron fist, but you're not going to make any. You're not going to have any Fahrenheit 9/11 movies. Let's put it that way. There's not going to be any kind of negative propaganda that paints the government in a really bad light. But if you want to make like a Bollywood musical, that's cool. We're not going to give you trouble about that. It's not like China where you can't even talk about Winnie the Pooh. Literally, you can't talk about Winnie the Pooh or apparently obscure Chinese history either. So Twitter allowed a bunch of people to post things that are critical of the government, and then they censored some government posts about COVID-19. India is having a massive COVID-19 problem. Long story short, they tried some drugs that aren't the official party line drugs, and they had some smashing success. Basically, they found another drug aside from hydrochloroquine that has an impact on different stages of the illness. And when they talked about it, Twitter shut it down, just like they do everybody else. Well, India decided to shut Twitter down. So Twitter has called out the Indian government for attempting to block online dissent, labeling the government's conduct as a potential threat to freedom of expression. Yeah, so we, alongside many in civil society in India and around the world, have concerns with the regards of the use of intimidation tactics by the police in response to enforcement of our global terms of service. Wait, they're Twitter's global terms of service. How dare you, India, decide to tell us we can't do that? As well as core elements of the new IT rules. So what are the new IT rules? Twitter received a notice last week after they labeled a tweet from Sambit Patra, the spokesman of India's ruling party, as a manipulated media post. If you don't smack the bee's hive, come on. In addition to these notices, Twitter received at least another two. One notice focusing on the platform using images or posts dealing with the unfolding COVID tragedy in India, while the other sought to block people's tweets about the farmers' protests. I don't know why the farmers are protesting. Farmers protest, pitchforks, things. That's what they do. We see it all the time in Nebraska. Come on. For the notice dealing with COVID-related tweets, the Indian government requested dozens of tweets be taken down as they criticize the government's handling of the coronavirus outbreak. At the time of the writing, India has over 273 million confirmed cases. Until Twitter's last statement, the social media platform has, for the most part, complied with India's laws. In February, there were various amendments made to the law that gave the government power to compel platforms to block content in the interest of sovereignty, the security of the state, friendly relations with foreign states, or the public order, and for preventing incitement of the commission of any consignable offense. Okay. So failure to comply with these new laws can result in company employees facing imprisonment. So they're serious, guys. Twitter says, we are particularly concerned about the requirements to make an individual, the compliance officer, criminally liable for content on the platform, the requirements for proactive monitoring, and the blanket authority to seek information about our users. Isn't that what you guys did to Parler? Parler didn't have any proactive monitoring, so pooh, we blow it up. Can't have that. Deplatformed, canceled, done. So India says, proactive monitoring. Twitter's like, but Mom. And then they said, well, if you don't, you're going to get a spanking. And they're like, but what? This is like when you tell your kid they're going to get a spanking 53 times and it never happens, they stop believing it until the one time dad didn't get the memo. And mom says, if you do that again, you're going to get a spanking. And then mom says, I'm going to the grocery store. I'll be back in 5 minutes. And then the kid does it again. And dad's like, Mom told you the consequences. And then mom comes home and everybody's wailing and crying. She's like, what happened? You go, I gave him a spanking. You did what? Like, you told me to. You know, yeah, happy day. It's kind of like that. Twitter is like, shoot. In a statement, Twitter said it would push the Indian government to change the new laws while requesting a 3-month extension in the order for Twitter to implement new rules in the event they are not scrapped. So they want a little time to try to figure out how they're going to implement the rules. I mean, come on, fair is fair. I get that. In the meantime, though, we're going to hold the compliance officer criminally liable for posts on your platform. Twitter, if you want to censor stuff, if you want to be an arbiter of what is real information and what is fake news, if you want to decide whose viewpoints are valid and whose viewpoints are not valid, guess what? You get the responsibility that goes along with that. And because you've shown the government of India, you have the capability to monitor conservatives and censor them almost entirely. India believes that you can do what they're asking you to do. Because you can. Because you have. And now every government in the world is going to set up their own little special rules for social media. And now, just wait for one social media company to come out that doesn't censor anybody. Just wait for it. Because when it does, all these countries around the world, they're going to want that social media. It was eventual. It was going to happen eventually. If you decide to editorialize, there's consequences for that. 888-250-2091. We got to take a quick break. When we come back from the break, Robert, Karen, stay on the line. Everybody else, refill your drinks, get your coffee and your donuts, Winston, because we're ready to rock and roll. Coming up next on Compute This.
Today's fragile computers need maintenance more than ever. Your computer needs a maintenance checkup every 6 months to last beyond its 18-month expected lifespan. External hard drives are handy. You can back up multiple computers to them or even use them to move lots of data from one computer to another. Computer users have been buying the same old external hard drives for years. While our computers have been getting faster, we still do backups that take hours or watch epic progress bars creep by to move files. Schrock wanted more for our customers, so our innovators created the fastest external hard drives on the planet. Schrock modular storage devices are up to 50% faster than Seagate or Western Digital externals and are modular in the truest sense of the word. We can create whatever size and speed of drive you need for all of your needs, and all modular storage devices come with a data restoration guarantee. If you use our drives for backing up and your computer's hard drive fails, we'll restore your backup to your repaired computer for free. Fast, simple, and flexible technology solutions from Schrock Innovations. It's what we do. Compute This pro tip number 753. Have you ever wondered how the bad guys always seem to find a way into your computer? Gone are the good old days of email worms and I love you viruses. Nobody wants to steal your data anymore, or in many cases even your identity. Today's cyber criminals want to sell access to your computer or hold your data for ransom. The bad guys are exploiting zero-day vulnerabilities to break into systems that are supposed to be hack-proof. These vulnerabilities are always newly discovered, and the criminals have a brief time to exploit them before they get patched. Antivirus and firewalls do not prevent these attacks, but you can minimize your computer's exposure by installing all security patches as quickly as possible. The average computer needs 12 patches a week. That's not including the ones that are automatically delivered to your computer. Boost your cybersecurity by staying on top of it manually, or use a patch installation program like Secure Updater to get your computer the patches it needs. This pro tip is brought to you by Schrock Innovations Computer Company.
Fox News, I'm Karen McHugh. 20 people have been shot. 2 are dead after gunfire erupts at a concert venue in Hialeah, Florida.
Details are still coming in, but reports say a banquet hall was being rented out for a concert when 3 men pulled up in a white Nissan Pathfinder and started shooting. The people who were hurt have been taken to a hospital in Broward and Miami-Dade counties. Now, one of them is in critical condition.
Fox's Ashley Strohmeyer. So far, no arrests have been made. It's a wet and chilly Memorial Day weekend for millions in the East.
How's 47 feeling this morning? Not so great across a lot of the Northeast. 43 in Chicago. Got to get through today. Things start to improve just a little bit by the time we get towards later tomorrow, and then by Tuesday, a little bit of an improvement.
Fox meteorologist Rick Reichmuth. America is listening to Fox News.
Now, the News Radio 1110 KFAB Weather Watch.
Cloudy skies today with high temperatures cool in the lower 60s. We could see some scattered light rain showers during the morning and afternoon. A bit more dry time this evening. We'll drop down to around 50 degrees overnight. There will be another rain chance tomorrow morning south of I-80 with high temperatures in the lower 70s. With Omaha's most accurate forecast, I'm 6 News First Alert meteorologist Mallory Schnell on News Radio 1110 KFAB.
Alrighty, folks, thanks for sticking with us through the break there. I appreciate your patience, and welcome back into Compute This. My name's Thor Schrock. I'm the owner of the Schrock Innovations Computer Company. We fix computers. We build websites. Our Schrock Interactive division builds websites, builds custom software, automates business processes. We do some amazing things for people. If you have a fireworks company and you want to figure out how many boxes of Chinese fireworks you can stuff in a container and how many containers you can fit on a boat, we build software that does that. I mean, that's like Oracle level stuff, except you don't have to deal with that. Have you ever tried to implement Oracle software? I mean, I know most of us haven't. I haven't, but I have clients who have tried. And it's literally easier to build something yourself than to implement Oracle software. I don't understand why it's supposed to be an Oracle, and it's just not. All right, 888-250-2091. Coming up on the program, we're going to talk about the first official increase in PC prices that I can ever remember happening. My entire life, computers have gotten cheaper per megahertz. Now, the cost of the computers has been trending down, but the power of the computers every 18 months has been doubling. So that's one of the inflation tricks the government uses, guys. When you have an iPad, and the new iPad is twice as powerful as the old iPad, how do you measure that in GDP? Well, that iPad is twice as valuable at half the price because the price didn't go up. Therefore, there has been a deflation of 50% in technology. That offsets the 197% inflation in bacon. Yay! Now you can't eat as much bacon, but you can use your iPad so fast. It's so fast, and when you're done eating your bacon, you'll still accomplish the same number of tasks, even though you only ate half as much bacon. It's amazing stuff. All right, let's jump into those phones there. Robert, you're the first caller of the program today. How can I help you on Compute This?
Good morning.
Good morning.
My question involves a security video. First of all, there was an incident in a business where they recorded a crime at the location. In front of the arriving officer, the owner zoomed in on the suspect vehicle and was able to get a color and a description of the vehicle and just a blurry plate.
Right.
Okay, subsequently the ID tech came out, and he looked at it. He said, good video, good video. 2 weeks down the road, the detective calls one of the business owners, says, this is the worst video we've ever had. We can't do this. We can't do that. My question is, do you have the equipment out there to take a video and enhance it so you can get some better information off of it?
Gotcha. We actually don't. That's one area where we've never really had a call for. I mean, you see it in the movies, though, right? They just throw a couple filters over it, and Iron Man has the license plate number.
Yeah.
And there is some truth to that. You can get down to the pixel level, and you can basically take pixels that are various shades of different colors, and then make them the same color, and then you do it again, and then you do it again. Of course, if you do it too many times, then you just get a blob, and you don't know what you're looking at.
Okay.
You can make images a little more clear, but there isn't a magical tech like you see in the movies. Also, like if you have a shot of the left side of a person's face, you can't extrapolate the right side of their face based on the information you have. Yeah, so I mean, you can do a little bit with it, but you can't. The more you do, the less likely you are to get a good result. Now, with that said, I would not assume that the police department has the latest and greatest in technological capability. I think I've shared the story a couple of weeks back about
you did.
the
You
police
did. I
department.
know what you're talking about.
Yeah, that brought us a MacBook, and then they didn't know it had to charge for a half an hour in order to turn it on. And then they wanted us to recover the data off it. We just left it plugged in for a day and then gave it back to them. So I was like, here you go, we're magic. But so I wouldn't assume that they have the best technology available. They could have really smart guys working on it. But again, there could be better available commercial tech that's just not rated for law enforcement use. I don't know if that's the case, but we've never had to do that for anyone else before in the service center. Normally, people come to us and they say, hey, my DVR system is crashed and it has an important video on it that I need to have, and can you recover it for me? And so then we recover the video, but we don't necessarily enhance it or anything like that. Robert, I will take a look into this during a commercial break and see if there's anyone around in the metro area that does this kind of thing that I can find for you. But I've never had a call for it before in 23 years, so you get Unique Caller of the Year award. Thanks for your call, Robert. I appreciate you joining us on the program. 888-250-2091. Karen, welcome to the show. How can I help you on Compute This today?
Hi, Thor. Thanks for taking my call.
No problem.
I have a main computer that's kind of our workhorse, and I've had a couple problems with it, so I ran a system file check, and it'll get up to 69% complete, and then it has corrupt files, but it can't fix them. I'm also having Bluetooth connection problems with it. I don't know if they're connected or not.
Gotcha.
So if I get 69% and it can't fix it, what is my next step?
Okay, so when it's trying to fix it, tell me again, what was the test that you ran that gave you a 69% result?
The system file check scan now.
Okay, so if SFC is doing a check of the Windows operating system files and it's unable to complete the installation, there can be a lot of causes for that. It could be bad memory, could be a hard drive with issues. Most likely it is a property lock on one of the files that it's trying to fix. So in other words, the file is in use, and so it can't get the file and make it available to fix. Now, normally what we would do in this case is we would do a repair installation of Windows 10, which sounds super duper like, oh my gosh, that's a lot of stuff. However, I will say, have you updated your computer to 21H1 yet?
No.
Do that, because that is a whole new version of Windows 10. It's effectively a Windows 10 repair installation. Now, the problem is if you have bad hardware under the hood and you attempt to do that, you can introduce a whole lot more problems. So if you were looking for the next do-it-yourself step where you would try to do this at home, I would recommend, if you don't already have Drive Advisor installed on your computer, do you know what Drive Advisor is?
Yes, I actually have that, and
perfect.
everything is good to go.
Okay, perfect. So we know we're dealing with a good hard drive then. For everyone else listening, you can get Drive Advisor at driveadvisor.com. It's Drive Advisor because it's made in America. And when you get Drive Advisor, it'll tell you if your hard drive's healthy. If your hard drive would have been failing and you try to do this update, you can crash the whole thing and lose all your data. As always, make a backup, asterisk, cross, all disclaimers in place. But if you're going to fix it yourself at home, know what you're doing, kind of thing. But basically, that's the next step, is we would run a repair installation of Windows 10 to try to repair the corrupt files that are causing the problem by replacing them with entirely new files. And then if that continues to have a problem, if the Bluetooth continues to lose its connection, you said this is a laptop, correct?
No, this is actually a desktop.
Okay. Pro tip. For some reason, Wi-Fi antennas work their way loose on the back of the computer. So if your computer has external Wi-Fi antennas that screw on, tighten them down. That happened to me.
Okay.
That literally happened to me. Like, my headphones these are like $300 Bose headphones, and I'm sitting 6 feet from the computer. Why can't I connect to the Bluetooth? One of my antennas was loose. And so when I tighten the antenna down, now I can walk around I can go on a different floor of the house and still be connected to my computer. So check those antennas for the Bluetooth problem. That could be what's going on there. But as far as, the 21H1 update, you're going to need to do this anyway. So there's a few ways you can do this. You can obviously use our Safe Upgrade software. That's available at SchrockInnovations.com. We've made some additional licenses available now that many of our customers have used it. The response the entire time has been pretty robust, that it went very well. We had a couple people that had problems, but compared to previous releases, it was smooth as butter. So that's a great way to do it. The other way you can do it is you can obviously check for Windows Update, check Microsoft Update, click on Start, and then go to Settings and go to Updates and Security and check for updates. And if Microsoft has deemed your computer ready to receive the update, you will see it there. If you don't see it there, your third option is you can Google or Duck or whatever your search engine of choice is, download Windows 10, and it'll take you to the Microsoft page where you can update your computer from that page. And so there's 3 different ways you can do it. 2 do-it-yourself options, 1 shop version. We charge $85 to do this in the service center, though.
Okay. I will try the update and see how it goes.
All right. Hey, thank you, Karen. I appreciate it. And good job doing the research. System file check / scan now. Boy, a lot of people forget the scan now part, and it just isn't doing anything. And I've seen technicians do that before. You just type check disk or scan disk, go, and it's like, You got to type /scan now. Everybody knows that. Duh. Karen knows that. 888-250-2091. All right, so for the first time ever, PC costs are going to be hit by inflation, guys. This is an article from ZDNet that is and they source Dell, HP, and Lenovo. The reason that the prices are going to go up is because they are not seeing any slowdown in demand. And with the chip shortage, they can't keep up. So there's a couple interesting things in this article. So what this tells me is this is how businesses are going to handle inflation, guys. They're going to raise the price or reduce the amount of product in the bag or do something to give you less value for your purchasing dollar. That's what inflation is. We had Dr. Ernie Goss on the afternoon fill-in show that I did on 1110 KFAB. And when he was on, he said these costs were not transitory. So when you hear people talking about transitory inflation, he said, no, these costs aren't transitory, because if a business figures out they can charge a higher price for their product and people will pay the higher price, which is what Warren Buffett said is happening. All of his businesses are raising their prices and people are happily paying the increased prices. Why would the business ever lower the prices and reduce their margins? The only reason to do that is to gain market share, to attract business to your product and take it away from a competitor. So Dell, HP, and Lenovo are saying it's not only the chips. They're starting to have trouble getting other things like DRAM. That's the memory that goes onto graphics cards and memory chips in processors. They're having trouble getting storage chips for solid-state hard drives, especially with new cryptocurrencies coming out that are basically gobbling up the higher-end solid-state market. A 2 terabyte internal NVMe hard drive has gone up $100 in cost. It's literally it's a 25% increase over what it was just a month ago. So we are seeing this at Schrock. In fact, I do consulting work for a number of computer repair businesses in different areas of the country. And one of my companies I consult with sent me an email, and literally, I should read this to you because I don't want to misquote it. But the email says, hey, we're thinking about taking out a loan, and if you know this guy, you'd know he does not like debt. I've been telling him to take out a loan and do this kind of stuff for like years, and he's like, yeah, Thor, it's just not me. It's not what I do, and I respect that, But he says, I've decided to take out a small business loan and purchase laptops and computer parts for future use. We're starting to see prices increase drastically and shortages. You're usually one step ahead of me, but I thought I would share with you my move. I'm going to try to keep 3 months of inventory and storage. Okay, so that's how a small business, a business that's smaller than Schrock, is responding to this. They're going to go take out a loan because they believe that having the inventory on hand now is going to be so much cheaper than buying it 3 months from now that they're going to be able to save money. Now, the question is, are they going to save the money? Or is this like when price of gas goes up, the gas station immediately raises its prices because it has to replenish what's pulled out of its tanks in the ground at the higher price. When gas prices come down, they say, well, we paid a higher price for the stuff we have in the tanks on the ground. We got to sell that first before we can lower our prices. So they make it on the front and they make it on the back, and it's going to be no different here. So what we're seeing is PC prices are likely to move higher in the second quarter, according to this article, of 2021. The second quarter of 2021, so January, February, March, that's quarter one. April, May, and June is quarter two. So what they're saying is existing computers that are already built and in the supply chains are going to see their costs increase, the price of these computers go up next month, as in after the Memorial Day sales are over. In earnings from HP, Dell, and Lenovo, if the earnings from HP, Dell, and Lenovo are any indication, inflation is likely coming to the PC market in a perfect storm. Cisco has already foreshadowed this in the data center market. Demand for laptops is surging. There's a global chip shortage. PC vendors manage their supply chains well, but executives notice they will be passing along higher cost. Lenovo, HP, and Dell are all reporting strong financial results and said that demand wasn't slowing. In addition, tech buyers have not altered their behavior based on the higher prices. In the article, it goes through to talk about how Dell is seeing, basically Dell watches you when you build a computer on their website. They see you build this massive epic computer, and then they can literally see your jaw drop when you see the price. So then you go back and you start taking things off to get the price down to a certain point. They're saying that's not happening. People are not reducing their configurations to get the price down, even though they've raised the prices. At Schrock, we have not raised our prices on laptops. We did not raise them through the pandemic. We have not raised them in 2021. I can tell you we're going to have to make a decision about this soon, though, because we're out of catalogs. And we print them 1,000 at a time. So if we're going to raise the prices in the next year, we pretty much need to make that decision. But I can tell you right now that, we don't keep 3 months of inventory on hand, but we do keep a month or two on hand. And the service centers are fully stocked with laptops and desktops right now. And the prices are exactly the same as they have been since 2019. We haven't raised our prices on computers since then. We've actually added more features. We added Bluetooth to all of our computers during the pandemic. We gave you more tech for the same amount of money because we want your market share. We want you to choose a Schrock Innovations modular PC or solid-state laptop instead of a Dell or instead of an HP or instead of a Lenovo. So I think I'm going to stubbornly cling to the prices that we have and use them to attract market share. Because once customers experience what it's like to have a computer serviced by a local company like Schrock, instead of a international company like a Dell or an HP, you don't go back. You might buy a Dell or an HP computer, but you're going to buy it from Schrock because you want that support and service and that local commitment. 888-250-2091. Final break of the program. When we come back, even more USB-C options are coming. We're going to tell you what they do and what to look for coming up next on Compute This.
Schrock Innovations can't teleport technicians to you, but online help is only a click away with the Schrock Desk. Subscribe today and get unlimited help whenever you need it. Schrock Innovations has spent nearly 2 decades working to make your technology life easier, and the all-new SchrockInnovations.com is no exception. Now you can order new modular computers and solid-state laptops directly from our website, secure your computer with our virus-free guaranteed semantic endpoint software, find innovative new technologies like our modular storage devices, and get free help and tips. Take a look at the specials section to find sales on one-of-a-kind items, display models, refurbished units, and our latest special offers. Swing by the Compute This page to watch TV segments and archived radio shows, or even get one-on-one help through the Schrock Desk. As always, we respect your privacy, so we secure our website with the latest encryption technology and only the most secure payment methods. You can pick up your purchases at any of our 3 service centers or have them shipped directly to your door. The new SchrockInnovations.com makes technology simple. It's what we do. And now Compute This Pro tip number 373. Everyone knows we're supposed to back up our computers and then check those backups periodically to make sure they're working. So why don't most people do it? Lots of people have different ideas about what backing up means. Is it copying files to a flash drive? Is it using a fancy backup program? And how do you know it's working anyway? Windows makes backups easy through free software that's already on your computer. Open your control panels and click Update and Security. Select Backup and choose from all of the available options to get a regular, reliable checkup. You'll need something to back up to, like a Schrock modular storage device or some other backup hard drive. Backups usually run once a week, but you can always change the frequency. The best part is that if your backup ever fails, you'll see a notification in the lower right corner by your clock telling you something's up. Backing up your important data has never been easier, so take a moment to back up your computer today. This pro tip brought to you by Schrock Innovations Computer Company.
Alrighty, folks, final segment of Compute This. Thanks for sticking with us through the hour here. I do appreciate you listening and watching on Facebook at facebook.com/Schrock Innovations. If you enjoy the radio show, I would also appreciate it. You have no idea. I would greatly appreciate it if you could wander on to Google or Yelp and leave us a review. Those reviews literally make a huge difference for our business. It allows us to keep our prices low, actually, because it's effectively it's advertising. And it means that we don't have to spend quite as much on radio stations. So anyway, number to join us, 888-250-2091. So USB-C, there's these little round ports on the side of your computer, right? And you are on the bottom of your phone, and you know you can plug power cord into your phone there. My laptop that I'm doing the show on right now is 2 or 3 years old. It's a 7th gen i7, so it's 3 years old. And it's got a USB-C power adapter that it came with. But there were some limitations. So the first generation, if you will, of USB-C, you could do power up to 100 watts, and you could do external hard drives and devices at a faster speed than USB, well, about roughly the same speed as USB 3. Then there basically was the USB 3.2 ports came out. and three USB-C ports that are connected to a 3.2 chip. They can still do power at 100 watts, but they can do a lot of other cool things too. You can hook up a monitor to them. Yeah, through an adapter, you can like literally just plug an adapter into a monitor and stick it into the USB-C port. The computer figures it out, says it's a monitor, pumps video to it. Yay! You don't need any chips or anything in the middle. It just works. Now, of course, when you buy a computer, they don't tell you if it's a USB-C 3.1, USB-C 3.2, or this new generation of USB-C that's going to be coming out, the USB release 2.1, because that's not confusing, revision 3.1 specification. Yes, very technical. So anyway, we'll call this the third gen USB-C port. It's going to allow charging of up to 240 watts. So 140% increase in the amount of voltage going through the wire. So I would expect these wires to be a thicker, heavier gauge to handle that. And when I say thicker and heavier, I mean thicker than your mouse cord. More like a really thick braided charging cable for your phone, because it's carrying a lot of power. This is why you don't see gaming laptops like Asus ROG laptops or MSI gaming laptops coming with USB-C chargers, because they need more power than that. They need more juice. So basically, these new ports are going to allow the delivery of a whole lot more power, so we can see them in more devices. You're also going to have support for docking stations, which we have some support for right now, but the bandwidth isn't really great. 4K monitors and printers as well. So USB-C printers. I thought all printers were wireless now. Right? Are we going back to USB printers? I guess, maybe. The cables, of course, are reversible. They support phones, tablets, PCs, the whole bit. With the new capabilities of USB Power Delivery 3.1, which again is going to be confusing because it's not the same as a USB 3.1 or 3.2. It's not worse than 3.2. It's actually better than 3.2, but they call it Delivery 3.1 because that's what technicians and engineers do, I guess. It'll enable higher powered products such as larger notebooks to shift to the traditional connectors of USB Type-C. That also means they're going to be able to remove the charging ports from the laptops that always break when you drop your laptop on its side and you bust out the charging port. That's the good news, is that you won't have busted charging ports anymore. The bad news is USB-C ports are built directly onto the motherboard. So when you drop your computer on the USB-C port, it won't just break a replaceable little dongle on a cable. It's going to crack something off your circuit board, and you're going to have to replace the motherboard instead. So unless the price of computers continues to inflate, you'll probably buy a new computer at that point. We also anticipate a wider range of product application developers outside of the traditional USB ecosystem to now consider standardizing on USB Type-C with USB power delivery to power their devices. So in other words, we've all seen this before. Why is it that some external hard drives come with a power cord and some don't? I just had Keith on Facebook ask me, is there a limit to the number of drives you can hook up to a USB port? And the answer is yes, there's a limit, but the limit isn't because there's like a hard limit in Windows. The USB port delivers power to the device. So if you have them plugged into external power sources, effectively there's no limit. Of course, every time you add another one, you're going to reduce the amount of bandwidth. So the drives are going to be very slow the more you increase them. But if you're powering the drives, well, yeah, once you have it split too many ways, you're going to start losing power. And when that happens, obviously that's bad. So these new USB ports are going to be able to deliver 140% more power, which means now your Western Digital MyBook may not need the power cord anymore. And this is an example of, this is normally what happens in technology that reduces the cost over time. So if Western Digital no longer has to put a power cord in the box, power cord's what, like 50 cents, 60 cents a unit? That's a reduction of 50 or 60 cents a unit, an increase in their margins. That is an example of something that could help them stave off a price increase because the cost of producing the product has gone down. Does that make sense? Now, the problem is no one has these ports yet, so they're still going to have to put the power cords in there for now and for the foreseeable future because it's going to take 3 years or so for everyone to have a USB-C port on their computer that is capable of delivering power. Then, of course, there are all the adapters that are out there. You can get adapters that change all kinds of ports from USB-C or into USB-C, and then you plug in a device because it has an oval port. It should work, right? Nope, not really, because the power requirements are different or you're using the wrong cable. That's right. Just like there are different grades of television HDMI cables. You ever got the HDMI cable that's really skinny and you're like, this feels cheap? That's because it's cheap. And when you hook it up, you're not going to be able to send a great 4K signal over it. When you get the heavier insulated cables, you're going to send a great 4K signal through that with audio and video and the whole Anchorito. So it's going to be great. It's the same thing with the USB-C cords. If you use the wrong cord, if you have the same cord and you're charging your phone generation after generation after, if you're using the same Apple charger that you got with your phone 8 years ago, the same brick, you know what I mean? It's not putting out the same amount of power that the new Apple chargers, you don't get the charger with the phone. You have to buy it separately. But they're 18-watt chargers. They can charge the phone from 0 in like an hour. They are phenomenal. I bought one for my wife off of Amazon because it was cheaper than buying the Apple one. And it's an 18-watt Anchor charger. And oh my gosh, my son was using it while we were on vacation. He's like, this charger is the bomb, blah, 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 blah. This thing took my phone to like from 0% to 27% in like 15 minutes. I'm like, yeah, it's pretty neat. But that's what you're missing out on by not upgrading to the newer USB-C technology. The ports may all look the same, but what's under the hood is different, and the cables are different. And if my son uses an 18-watt charger brick with the wrong USB cable, with the wrong Apple cord, well, guess what? It's not going to charge really fast because the phone is smart like that. It's going to see that it can't pull enough power, and it's going to slow it down. The brick is smart like that, same thing. So you got to make sure you're matching your cables with your USB-C or Apple devices so that you're using the right cable with the right charger. But there are some exciting new developments coming to laptops and desktops near you with USB-C technology, and it's nice to see it because we want to see improvements. We want to see things getting faster and better, and we want to see costs come down. Unfortunately, I don't think the cost of PCs is going to resume a downward trajectory until close to the end of 2023. All right, guys. So there we go. One thing I didn't mention throughout the show today is that we will be doing the after Schrock, and I had so many stories to talk about today that I literally didn't have time to get through them all. So during the after Schrock, if you want to stay tuned at facebook.com/Schrock Innovations, we're going to end this show, start another one. But during the after Schrock, Chrome has become a resource hog. We talked about that a couple weeks ago. It's like one of the slowest browsers now. But some new technologies that Google is releasing are changing that, so we want to take a look at that. Cryptos have been absolutely monkey hammered. So is it time to sell your Bitcoin, or is Bitcoin on sale and you should buy some? Memorial Day Bitcoin sale. Also, gas shortages are still a problem. I'm going to tell you what stations to look out for if you're traveling in the East Coast region this weekend as well. Robert, congratulations. You're the winner of the $25 Schrock Innovations gift certificate. Addie will get a hold of you on Tuesday because we're closed on Memorial Day. And we will see all of you next weekend for another exciting edition of Compute This.
This is News Radio 1110 KFAB Omaha. Online at kfab.com. On your phone with the